swear on it. Most things, you think people are talking about you, and then you're shocked to find out 5 months later that they weren't talking about you. Well, guess what? For 5 months, you were letting it eat you up, and now you have a stomach ulcer or a liver ulcer. Now what? Because you let it eat you up for 5 months. They were never talking about you. You thought they were, but maybe they were just busy and had a grandmother at home who was dying, and it was more important to go to her than to say Shabbat Shalom and goodbye to you, and to pick up the phone and remember you when you're relatively healthy. Well, we get offended. We get offended. Our confidence in another human being is shaken, is broken. And then when they disappoint us, we get offended. We've got to take the biblical approach. Every person in this congregation has the ability to offend you. You've got to have a battle plan before the offense. Because if you react to the offense, you will not act properly. You've got to be prepared. We wear a seatbelt in the event of an accident. We don't go there and say, if there's an accident, I'll take 5 minutes and I'll throw on my seatbelt. No. You prepare, and that's how, and none of us prepare. So that when he blows our confidence, or when he does something or behaves in a certain way that is not pleasing to us, we get bent all out of shape because we didn't have a plan in action ahead of time, knowing that offenses will come. Yeshua said offenses will come. Woe to the one who brings the offense, but double woe to the one who doesn't know how to handle it. Because the guy or the woman who offends you can still stay in Yahweh's will. But the one who doesn't know how to overcome the offense will be out of Yahweh's will. I can offend you today and stay in Yahweh's will. But if you don't know how to overcome what I've done, it'll pull you away from Yahweh's will, purpose, goodness, blessing, favor, and cover in your life. You better have a plan. Look at Yeshua. Look how he handled offenses. Romans 5:17. For by one man's offense, Adam, death reigned by one. Notice how many people does it take to bring death to your heart and your mind and your life? How many people does it take? One person. Adam brought death to the entire human race. So if one person in the congregation or in your family offends you, that offense was enough to destroy the whole human race and condemn them before Yahweh. You better be ready to handle the offenses when they come, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and through whom. It's a matter of when and through whom they will come. But when the ruler rises up, Kohelet 10:4, when the Ruach of Hasatan rises up, don't leave your place. Stay put. Stay strong. Because yielding will pacify the greatest offense and the greatest offender. You know who the victims of offenses are? The ones who allow their hypersensitivity to pull them out of their place. And the word of Yahweh cautions us, leave not your place. When you're offended, do you know the best time to leave your family for a break or leave the synagogue for a break is when you're not offended. But when you are offended by someone in your family, pull down the anchor, hatchet up the side, and stay planted and stay put. Look, Adam offended Yahweh, and death reigned through that offense. But much more, those who receive overflowing unmerited favor and the gift of tzedakah, righteousness, from Yeshua HaMashiach by his blood, we who receive his gift will reign in Chaim by one Yeshua HaMashiach. Notice, it was Yeshua, the second Adam, who overlooked the offenses of the children of the first Adam. And the reason Yeshua reigns over the sons of men is because he reigned over offenses that were real and perceived. How did Yeshua qualify to be the Savior? He reigned, ruled, and took authority over offenses that were both perceived and that were real. Was Adam's offense real? As real as the noon sky. As real as White Castle hamburger. Sorry, we had to get that in. How real was Adam's offense? He said, Father, look, Father, can you send me to another planet? Maybe a Pluto, maybe a Mercury. I could make an atonement. You could find me a stick. I could hang, and we'll call it a day. Aren't you glad Yeshua didn't do that? How did Yeshua overcome the offense of Adam? He stayed planted. He said, Father, I don't feel like it. I'm sweating great drops of blood, but I can reign over this offense. Isn't that what Yeshua said? Offenses will come. The question is, will you be overcome by the offense, or will you reign over it? Are you with me? If the footmen have wearied thee in the land of Shalom, where you trust, where you worship, where you have friends, where you have chaverim, how are you going to minister to Islam? How are you going to minister to unbelieving Jews who want to pull your teeth out and spit right between your eyes? If the footmen have wearied thee, how will you contend with the horses of the apocalypse? Yahweh has allowed people to offend you right where you worship, right where you pray, right where you love Yahweh, to see if you are going to be able to stand in Yaakov's trouble against the end-time beast, or if somebody who just gives you a little look, or forgets to cook the food that you like, or forgets to serve you, you're on the serving line, and someone doesn't serve. What little silly things. It's not the big things, it's the little silly things that will offend you and that will trip you up. There's always going to be people who don't get along. Yeshua didn't get along. His Talmidim didn't get along all the time. So Yeshua reigned over the offenses that were real and perceived. If we follow Yeshua's gift, his atonement, we must also reign over our offenses. And then we can extend that same gift to others. One of the greatest things that I can do as your rabbi is teach you and train you how to... Could you imagine? I mean, like Rav Shaul said, this pressure, this thing that happens in our life has forced me to boast. Can I boast a little bit? You don't want to walk 1.5 miles in my moccasins. Not 2 kilometers. I have entire websites that are out to destroy me. Seekgod.ca. That ought to tell you something right there. We found out a big secret. He's really Marshall. Listen, you moron, you could have picked up the phone. I would have told you that. I used to do business with the name of Marshall. You don't need to put a website up there and pay $20 a month. There's another secret. He's not honest. He's a hypocrite. Rivka's not really Rebbetzin Rivka's real name. It's really Roberta. Wow. Should we come out with an extra edition of the New York Post? Should we include that with all the news that's fit to print? There are people out there do you realize there are people out there who listen to our broadcast, hate my guns? If I drop dead, they would say, you see, Yahweh killed him because he didn't teach the lunar Shabbat. See, Yahweh killed him because he didn't forgive that person. See that? Yahweh killed him because he wanted to build a school and was chasing money instead of chasing. And then when it happened, they were sure that Yahweh killed Moshe. So how we reign over the offenses, real and perceived. I get stuff all the time. Can we talk? You get the same thing because you're part of. Unfortunately, sometimes you're part of this package. Jim, do you have a few minutes? Yeah. Something's going on with Bruno. Something's going on with Althea. She won't talk to me. Yeah. I called 4 times, left messages.
Oh, wow.
She don't return my calls. I mean, never mind the fact that she works 80 hours a week. And she doesn't get home till 10 at night. Forget about that. You've got this thing going in your head that Althea is avoiding you. Or she saw you worshiping Yahweh, and she's being judgmental. She didn't like the way your hands went up, and so she thinks you're carnal, and she's not hanging out with you or returning your calls anymore. That's horseman. I mean, pardon me, that's footman. He's a footman. In the land of Shalom. This is not China. This is not Saudi Arabia. You have a King James Bible, they cut your head off, no problem. We have too much time on our hands to get easily offended. We can reign over our offenses. Real and perceived. That's what it means to be a king and a priest. If Yahweh says you're a king, you can reign over anybody that offends you and anybody that comes against you in a perceived offense. If we follow Yeshua's gift. What was his gift? How did Yeshua die on the tree? He overcame our offenses by reigning over it. That's the gift. The offenses could have held him back from dying on the tree and being our Savior and forgiving our sins. But instead, he overcame our offenses by what? Immediate, unconditional surrender to be planted when the Ruach rose up. The Ruach of the Prince of this age rose up to remove him from his place. Write it down. Yielding will pacify offense. Yielding, we'll talk about who to yield and how to yield. To whom and to how. Romans 14:21. It is tov to eat neither meat or drink wine, or anything whereby your Israelite brother stumbles, or is offended, or is made weak. So let me reverse that. It's okay to eat filet mignon. It is okay to have a little Harvey Wallbanger. Schnapps. Where I come from, we call it schnapps. It's okay to do things that Yeshua has allowed us to do that don't contradict his word. But it is not okay if what we allow makes our brother tempted to do something that they have a weakness with. Okay? So, it is okay to do things that Yahweh says to do in private, if you have a clear conscience about it. But if it makes your Israelite brother stumble, or if he's offended by your behavior, you're making him weak. So we must carefully, before our brothers, walk carefully, so we do not become the cause of their stumbling. We would not want to be the cause of their fall into bondage again. I'll say that again. Can I drink? Yes. Can I eat meat? I believe I can. But if my eating meat is going to cause you as a vegetarian to doubt my calling by Yahweh and my vision and my character, it's better that I don't eat meat and have you not stumble in your faith. So we have to walk carefully before our brothers so we do not cause them to be offended and to stumble. We do not want to be the cause of their fall into bondage. Again, go to Mishlei 18:19. I'm going to go fast. Mishlei, Proverbos 18:19. Here's a problem with offenses. And it's a very sobering reality. Mishlei 18:19. Is anyone enjoying? A brother offended is harder to be won than conquering Tehran. It's harder to win back a brother or sister who's been offended than to conquer and rule over and bring shalom in Baghdad. Once a brother and sister is offended, most have no plan. Most have no coping skills. Most are not prepared. They will leave the family. Worse than that, they'll leave the congregation. Even worse than that, they could leave the kingdom and stop serving Yahweh and stop living for Yahweh. That's even worse. You don't want to be the cause of somebody being offended and then wind up living in the world and going back to the world. Now, a brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city. In my life, I know, for whatever reason, the Prince of Darkness has come in. People have perceived that I have offended them or mishandled them or not handled them in the correct way. I might as well try to conquer Baghdad on my own. It's easier to conquer Baghdad with one AK-47 than to restore these brothers and sisters to me. That's the way the enemy works. Because we are easily offended. The reaction is wrong. Offenses will come. Deal with it. That's what Yeshua tells his children. Offenses will come. The question is, will you deal with it the way Yeshua dealt with Adam's offense? He reigned over it, he took authority over it, and he did not let it subjugate the Father's will to the offenses of Adam. Is anyone with me? Thank you, John. A brother offended is harder. I've seen it in my life, you've seen it in your life. There are brothers and sisters that don't talk to each other because they remain offended because of one offense. They had victories. 30 people came to Yeshua. They built congregations together. They started radio programs together. They started schools together. They built organizations together that preaches the truth of the whole wheat unleavened bread. But one offense comes, one offense, and the party's over for all the parties concerned. Because they're babies. They prophesied. They wore a big head covering. They spoke in 10 languages. But the true test of character is when the offense has come. Do you look for pacifiers? Do you look for other men, women, and children to hold your hand and comfort you? Yes, yes. Althea was wrong. Of course she was wrong. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Oh, come lay your hand on my pillow. On my chiropractic pillow. Oh, of course. Althea should never have done that to you. If she was walking in the spirit. Oh, baby. You want to come over for dinner? Are you feeling alone, right? Oh, yes, baby. Then you're a partaker of their sin. You ought to be training them how to overcome the offense like Yeshua overcame the offense. Amen. Have a plan in action, because I can guarantee it, you will be offended by someone in your family, or someone you love, today, tomorrow, or in the immediate future. It's how you handle the offense. Watch this, the end of Mishlei 18:19. The contentions are like the bars of a castle. In other words, you see the bars on that door? Behind you, Raleigh? You see the bars on that door? It's easier for you to remove those bars than to take someone who you offended and make things like they were before. They're never going to be like they were before. You know why? Because most folks don't know how to handle it. So make sure you handle it in the right way, because most folks are not. I have no problem making things right in my life. How about you? You know, everybody's here looking at me. Everybody's staring at me because I got the microphone. You know, every once in a while I do the right thing. It may take some time. You know, me and Gabe, we haven't spoken in 8 years. And it was my fault. I was sensitive. I didn't think he treated me with the respect that an apostle should be treated with. He treated me like a buddy. Hey, man. You know, like you talk to a younger brother. So I withdrew. But then I realized, hey, I got to overcome that offense and become friends again. Now, I'm not putting myself on a pedestal, but that's how you handle it. The way to overcome an offense is to reign and put the footmen and say, the footmen are not going to weary me. The footmen are not going to take me out of the land of Shalom. Because once a party is offended, it's easier to remove those iron bars on that window with your hands, with your bare hands, than to get them back. You know why? They had no plan in action. You're dealing with people that are babies. Most of us are babies. We're not called the Einsteins of Yahweh, we're called the children of Yahweh. And we act like babies when our feelings are hurt. Me, you, everybody. That's got to change. It's got to change. If it doesn't change, you'll never be the husband to your wife that you're supposed to be. You'll never be the father to your children that you're supposed to be. You've got to stop being so sensitive. But not through psychotherapy, but through the vision, the way Yeshua did, by reigning over the offenses that are bound to come your way. Reign over them. Show yourself to be a king. Don't just mouth your kingship in the scriptures. Act like a king. Could you imagine if George Bush, whether you like him or not, W. Bush, resigned every time an editorial in the newspaper criticized him, or every time a talking head got on MSNBC and criticized him, and he went into the White House and started drinking like he used to be a drunk because somebody in the media criticized him? Abandon ship. We would have no commander-in-chief. We'd have no president. Good, bad, or ugly. At least he's a commander-in-chief. We'd have nobody. You can't reign that way. We are called to rule and reign with Yeshua. So, a brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city. Mishlei 18:19. Contentions are like the bars of a castle. Most offenses are perception and emotionally based. I've seen this true in my life. Very few offensive have a full face in reality. I'll say that again. Very few offenses have a full face in reality. Let me give an example. Take this little test with me, will you? Let's say you're a songwriter like Yahaloma. Okay? I'm sure she's written many songs, right? Let's say you've written 90 songs, right? 100, 200, whatever. They play it on MCU, or used to. They play it in Arkansas, they play it in California. Your songs have even made it into Rolling Stone magazine. That's how anointed they are. Even though Rolling Stone magazine is a heathen publication. Everybody's playing, her worship songs are used in Messianic congregations throughout the land. But then there's someone in our congregation, and for example, just this example, Kim's music is playing on the loudspeaker. She just happens to be in the back. And somebody goes over to Marcel and says, "Marcel, can you please take that off? I don't like it. I don't like it. It's too loud. It's too much of a Cuban beat." It's got too much Marley and not enough Yeshua. There's just too much Marley in that music and not enough Yeshua. But shh, don't tell Kim. But the problem is, Yahaloma's standing right there. Now she goes into a hissy fit. That's it. If these people are trained by the rabbi, and if that's the way they feel about my one song, now remember, her music's all over Saturday Night Live. But the enemy doesn't want you to look at that. He wants you to focus on the one person out of 15 million that didn't like one song. And she throws the hissy fit. She says, "Mordecai, Armando, forget about sending our kids to this school. I'm taking the first flight out of here. Forget about school. I don't even want to be in the congregation." I mean, around the world, they appreciate my music. And right here, this one song, nobody likes. And I know that guy's very close to the rabbi. If he doesn't like it, he's probably called the rabbi and said, "There's a Cuban beat. Salsalita, entra, entra. Entra la music." So guess what? Congratulations, man. Yeshua said offenses will come. Did they come? They sure did. Right in the place you worship. They didn't come down the street. They came right in the place you worship. Now, how is she going to handle it? She's still here. Husband's still here. Children are still here. They're more committed this week than they were last week. That's how you handle it. But it's true. Doesn't the enemy work like that? Same with me. I have hundreds around the world who consider me their rabbi. I have hundreds around the world who study every word I write, everything I teach. They grow, they mature, and then there's that one bozo who writes me a nasty email and says that I am not only wrong, I'm a man of the flesh, big time. Not only am I wrong, I'm a sold out, out and out man of the flesh. That's it. You think, whose report am I going to believe? My natural tendency is to believe that one email.